Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're looking at Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team Ashes of Faith. I like it already. It's got a great name. And it is a complimentary review copy that was sent to me by Games Workshop and is a unique campaign-driven, no terrain but lots of models Kill Team expansion for this season of Kill Team. In fact, it seems like in-between seasonal offering for Kill Team, as we are now out of a spaceship and back into kind of any old Kill Team you want. It contains a book, Ashes of Faith, which contains the Inquisitorial War Agents and the Chaos Cult Warband lists. I'm going to do a completely separate video on that book. So if you're looking for that, you can go up in the cards, check it out, and watch me review those two Kill Teams. This is going to be focused on the actual campaign pack, which is something new, fairly detailed, and I think kind of interesting in that it adds a either match play or narrative play or open play way of playing Kill Team, where you fight a 6-game sort of like scenario set and determine the fate of a world called Deepwell. The world's not called Deepwell, it's called Ixalis. It's next to a giant open warp rift called the Siren's Call, which is clearly like a Slaneshi warp rift. And yeah, it's going down there. It's a mining world, and they have a brutal authoritarian regime, but a cult is coming back to life, and an Inquisitor has sent his agents deep into it to try and basically like root out this cult before it takes root. And the 6 missions will sort of like show that conflict between the Chaos Cult trying to take hold in the city and the Inquisitorial agents trying to stamp them out. So what comes in the box? Well, I'm going to just use this to show you. You get a shed load of miniatures. Now, most of these we've already seen. In fact, the only unique sprue in here is this Inquisitorial Agents miniature set of 6 models. You get some options of what you can make here, but you only get one of these frames, so you can't actually make all of these models out of here. You can't make like the Gunfighter or the Hexorcist and also make the Mystic and the Pistolier. Sorry, the Penal Legionnaire and the Pistolier. So the Deathworld Veteran, the Tome Skull, the Gun Servitor, the Interrogator, the Auto Savant are all sort of like build as you will, and then everything else is going to be the 2 optional models. But very cool miniatures. I have to say, this is like as close to a 28mm Inquisitor release as we're going to get. In fact, the Deathworld Veteran, of course, is Sergeant Stone, who is a classic 54mm Inquisitor miniature. One of the first games actually that came out when I worked for Games Workshop was Inquisitor back in 2000. Yeah, it was a long time ago. And they've done that miniature again. And it's pretty cool. And these, of course, are the existing Sisters of Silence. I like that they didn't get a picture. That's so sad. They're just over here by themselves. The Tempest of Scions, kind of like subbing in as Inquisitorial Stormtroopers. You get a Devotees selection, which is the Chaos Cult themselves. And then you get the Dark Commune, the Torments, and the Mutants that can be used variably throughout the campaign. So lots of cool miniatures. Again, these are all available separately, but it's cool that they're getting like their own Kill Team thing. I think it's super fun, and if you are looking at just grabbing a box of really cool miniatures that are very 40k and very soft white underbelly of the Imperium, this is a lot of models. But that's actually not the most interesting thing that comes in here. It's this stuff. So we have 6 territory tiles, which are used to track your process throughout the course of the campaign. And then we have self-adhesive like decals to put on them. So you can basically just peel these off and put them back on as many times as you want, and you can keep your campaign process going. You have these numeric or alphanumeric generators. These are for your 6 random territories that you're going to build the city out of. So no matter how many times you run the campaign, it's going to be different every time as you'll be fighting for a variation of the city. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different city sectors. And they all have different rules, different things you can persuade, different ways that the missions will take place in them. And they add sort of like, think of it like in the open war 40k cards, they add like a twist to the mission. So you're using standard rulebook Kill Team missions. It gives you like a theme. So use whatever terrain you want to kind of represent this sort of theme. It encourages you to use like thematically appropriate terrain. And then you track the control of those areas on here. Right, so during the campaign thing, you'd put your A1 decal down here, and then when you're playing the actual game, you'd lay these out, and then have that on the table as like your mission tracker, and use the decals to track who's controlling it. So, is the Imperium controlling it? Is interestingly enough, they don't do a I guess they do the decals would be different, but they don't do the the tracking like past 10. So what these spots are for is when you go over 10 on one of these markers. So let's say the Inquisition is holding 7 and it's 12 for the Chaos Cult. The Chaos Cult would put 1 over here and then 1 back on the tracker. So every time you put a marker on here, you've gone over 10 basically for your control points. And this is control, this is persuasion, and this is investigation. Once you get 4 investigation points, and they use a bid system for doing this every turn, you then have investigated this, and the first one to do it gets the investigation card. That's these over here. Investigation cards are like extra benefits, like think of them as extra resources for the campaign. They give you bonuses and stuff that you can do. And then these are the persuasion benefits. They unlock this side of the card here. So whatever the persuasion benefit is, like if it's the medical center, you might be able to heal your guys, take away battle scars and stuff like that. And every turn, you're going to bid your cards. So you start with 3 of these dealt out at random. The Chaos Cult has their own, and so does the Imperium. So you start with 3. You earn more throughout the course of the campaign by winning missions and getting victory points. So you'll get more over the course of the campaign. And then every campaign turn after you play a game, you and your opponent go across the entire city's 6 things, and you stack cards across the various 6 territories. Then you reveal your cards. They're worth a point each if they're a character or a investigate or a control. So there's various types of cards in here. Or you can put down ruses. And so you add whoever has their cards on here and use ruses as like bluffs. You then add them to the various scores, right? So if I put down a control and investigate, this counts as just a point. Then I'd add them to the various tallies. And it's like a blind system of bidding until somebody doesn't want to bid. You both pass. And you build up control over the 6 tiles over the course of the campaign. At the end of the 6th or the 5th game, the 6th game is always a ritual, and there's 6 different rituals in the rulebook to play through. And those rituals are ultimately what the Inquisitorial warbands are trying to stop, and the Chaos Cults are trying to complete. Now, the person with the most controlled city sections at the end of the campaign after the 6th game will be the person who wins the campaign overall. The second tiebreak is whoever has, I think, investigated more. It's control victory. At the end of the final campaign round, the player controlling the most territories wins the objective, which is the person with the most control, like I said. If it's a draw, the player persuading the most territories wins this objective, so whoever's got the most persuasion. If it's still a draw, the player with the most control and persuasion points added together wins this objective. If it's still a draw, both players win the objective. And then ritual victory, play 1, this is the final tiebreak. Play 1 final game known as the ritual. The Chaos Cult selects 1 campaign territory to play the game in and 1 ritual mission from page 30 to 33. If this game, the player did not select TAC Ops, the mission objective is too important. If the Chaos Cult player wins this game, they win this objective. If it's a draw, or the Inquisitorial player wins, they win this objective. So if you win, basically, you can either have 1 or both of these in order to win the overall campaign. And then if you decide to play this as part of a Spec Ops campaign, the winner of the campaign gets to pick 2 of these rewards, like requisition points, objective points, XP to spread across your warband, and adding operatives to your data slates. And then, like I said, each of these territory rules, so the cards show the territory and the possible influences you can get from it, and those will be on the campaign card, basically, you're playing for each mission. And that's it. So the campaign itself follows rounds. It's the battle stage, so first you play a game no matter what. There is a first mission in here called the Cult Revealed. Basically, this first mission objective is... like the Inquisitorial agents find out there's a Chaos Cult here, and you're going to play that first mission. And then then you go to your draft stage. So the players earn 2 ruse cards and a number of conspirator cards determined by the victory they scored. So if you score more VPs, you get more conspirator cards, and those are your face cards with your characters on them. The ruse cards are the ones you can use as like twists or like power-ups and stuff. Then you collect your ruse cards. There's no limit to the number of cards each player can have in their hand. The number of cards each player's hand is revealed information, but the specifics of the cards are kept secret. Then is the scheme stage. Scheme, conspirator, and ruse cards are assigned to different territories within the city. And like I said, you go back and forth, starting with the player that won the last battle, putting them down on the 6 different territory cards. And then finally the dominant stage. Scheme, conspirator, and ruse cards are all revealed, and their effects are determined and rewards are earned. So you basically shift control of who has control of the 6 parts of the city. And then the ritual, after 6 rounds have been played, 1 final game is done using a ritual mission. Oh, sorry, so it's not 5 games in a ritual, it's all 6 games in a ritual. So it's 7 games in the campaign. And then yeah, so battle stage, you select a territory, so you'll select one of the 6. Each game will be played in a different campaign territory with the additional mission rules for that territory in effect. In the first campaign plan, the Inquisition player selects the territory to play the game in, and then you reveal the cult. In each of the campaign rounds, the player who controls the least territory selects the territory to play in. A player cannot select a territory selected in the previous campaign rounds. You can't play the same territory each game. You have to go to a different one. Then you play a game, and then basically every time you play a game, you and your opponent should pick a mission that kind of like sets the theme or the feeling of like the territory being played in or for the campaign itself. After you do the first one, and then use one mission pack for the campaign and play a different mission from it in each battle stage. So like if you were going to play all match play missions, just go to the rulebook and say, we're going to use all the match play missions, or we're going to use all the Spec Ops missions. And then randomly determine a mission, have the loser of the previous game select a mission. And then earn control. The winner of the game earns a single control point in the territory the game was played in. Update the tracker, and then you use your cards to influence it on top of that. In the draft stage, like I said, the scheme stage, put everything down. And those are your control, persuade, and investigate cards, which variously increase those scores. Conspirator cards always have a value of 1 and are used with the scheme cards to increase the bid in a territory. They have no effect on player scheme cards. And they have to be in the same territory for them to contribute to a bid. Ruse cards. Ruse cards have a value of 0 and are used to deceive the opponent when bidding. So you can put ruse cards down basically as bluffs. And then bid cards, one at a time, you go back and forth. Then you reveal your bids. All bid cards are revealed. For each territory in which a player has bid a scheme card, determine the total value of that bid. This is their bid scheme card and conspirator cards in that territory. Note, ruse cards have a value of 0. And conspirator cards bid without any accompanying scheme have a total of 0. So you have to put a conspirator card, which is like a face card, in with like a persuader or a control. So you can use them as a ruse when they're 0, but they will add to the total of either a control or a persuade when you put them in. And then you establish dominance. When all the totals updated, work out dominance for each scheme in the territory. Control, the player with the most control points is in control. Persuade, the person with the most persuade points is in control. And the first person to 4 will get the investigation bonus as a reward. And that's it. So you could play this a lot of times, which I think is great. And there's tons of different missions in here as well. Like so there's the first mission, and then what is the overall sort of like ritual that's trying to be done, which I think is great. There's multiple, so you can have it different every time. And then finally, the fate of Deepwell is revealed based on the victory points that you earn. And a nice little color section. And you get nice rules reference for the campaign turns and stuff too. So this is pretty different. I'll be honest. This is not what I was expecting from a Kill Team expansion for this edition of Kill Team. This edition of Kill Team is pretty, I would say like competitive play focused, and I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to run this. I want to find someone who wants to do the Chaos Cult. I've already got my Scions and my Sisters painted. So I'm going to paint up the Inquisitorial Agents, and yeah, we'll throw down. You get a Horus Heresy transfer sheet in here too, just for these 5 Sisters of Silence decals, which I think is hilarious. So if someone needs some extra Thousand Suns and Space Wolves, there's a random, I think this is from, not Betrayal Count, it's the other one, it's from Prospero Burns. So there's a Prospero Burns transfer sheet in here too, just for those little extra decals for the Sisters. And like I said, the cool new 3-frame Inquisitorial Agents thing, my arm for my servitor came off, so I'm just holding it here, is pretty exciting, and I'm stoked to paint these and have like a little blue Inquisitorial warband. So neat models, a cool theme, and kind of a cool way to round off this season of Kill Team with some Ashes of Faith. So I'm going to check out this book, which you'll also be able to check out today on my channel, and see what the rules are for 2 new warbands. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more Kill Team in the future, and of course GMG reviews. Till then, I'm Ash. Have a good. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continue to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.